Exactly, it was unreal. Other than the screw up with the shooting us down, it was unreal. It was quick, it was efficient.
Air support?
Well, we had air support, but they were very, very careful because they didn't know what they were going to do.
Right.
They didn't know how far they were going to advance or anything like that.
They were at least...
We had air support.
German planes, Italian planes?
No German, no Italian.
No. Oh. So anyway, the Germans are trying to make a run for it, or?
But they were trying to swing behind us to cut us off. But of course, there were very few casualties on our side. I would imagine that maybe we had in our regiment 75 to 100 wounded, maybe a couple killed.
And the regiment would be how many at this time? I know.
Well, we were cut down. It was now down to the regular regiment plus the
be,
battalion.
That would be what? How many?
4,000 men overall with the added battalion.
Now, in coming down, did they bring them medical teams and so on?
Oh yeah, we have our.
I would assume so.
Doctors with us, our aid men, everything. So they jumped with us.
Okay.
And of course, the gliders were starting to come in. They were cracking up, but we were getting equipment in. We were getting heavy artillery in. We got trucks in. We got jeeps in. The British 6th jumped on the other side of the island at the same time we did, and they had problems because they were using American gliders and their pilots were really not used to it.
Oh boy. So heavier casualties than expected.
Yeah, they had glider casualties. But intactly, I think that it was a pretty low casualty rate considering what they did.
Now, Bob, correct me, but I would assume paratroopers are basically shock troops, and as soon as you've kind of landed and gotten the situation, that you would be withdrawn and the infantry would come in. So that's not what really happens.
No, you start to fight as an infantryman.
You just keep going right ahead then.
Yeah, when you go into combat, you go in with 6 days rations, 6 days munitions, because your supply bags are all with you. And it's hit or miss after that, really, because if you haven't done it in 6 days,
then
you're in trouble.
So then if you'll just continue then.
Well, we fought our way across Sicily. We were pretty fortunate, my battalion anyway, and
increasing surrenders by the other side?
Surrenders and increasing artillery duels. But by then, Patton was on the island, Montgomery was on the island, and we had tank armor support and everything else.
How were the people? They greeting you as liberators, or?
The Germans scared the hell out of them. They told them that we were all convicts let out of jail, that were coming to murder them and rape their women and everything else.
So they were frightened?
They were frightened, and don't forget, in Sicily, everybody has a gun. Everybody has a gun. They carry shotguns. It's unreal.
We'll move from that. Mentioning General Patton, did you ever see him personally?
Oh yeah, we were attached to his army quite a number of times.
2 questions. One, when you hear of whether it's a movie star or a president, we all have images. And so when you first saw General Patton, even at whatever distance, was physically is that what you expected? I mean,
He's a tough SOB. In plain English, he was.
He was.
He was.
No ifs, ands, buts.
No ifs, ands, buts. You were there to do a job. If you didn't do it, your butt was his.
This is how he's been portrayed historically.
He was the richest officer in the United States Army. He was a millionaire.
And he did carry the double pearl handle?
2 pearl handle guns. His helmet was polished. His stars were polished. Every officer had a painted insignia on their helmets, and it was dope. He made sure you saw him.
And he wore a riding habit, didn't he? I mean,
yeah, he wore the
boots.
Well, he was a cavalry officer before he became an army man. And
all right. My father, 94th Division, Battle of the Bulge, had no use for General Patton. All right. What about yourself, Bob? I mean, your impression, as a soldier, this is a great general, or boy, geez.
We came up from southern France at the Bulge, getting way ahead of ourselves. And we were in summer uniforms because we were getting ready to go home when the Bulge Bulge started. We were coming back to the States to go to the Pacific. And there he was. When the trucks pulled up, he was standing right there on top of the hill where everybody could see him. In the bitter cold, with his Mackinaw on, not a heavy coat like we were given. I mean...
So you respected...
I respect him.
Yeah. And
I think if we would have listened to him, we would have saved God knows how many trillions of dollars that we spent on the Cold War. Because that was the time.
Now, I'm going to use different language here, but I think you'll know what I'm saying. Supposedly, he had a picture of himself taken when he got to the Rhine, in which he kind of relieved his kidneys. Did you ever hear that story?
I heard it, but never saw it.
I've never seen anyone have a picture of that.
I heard it, but never saw it.
That story's gone off. Now, let's get back to your involvement.
We, of course, were given orders that we were supposed to slow down, because Montgomery was supposed to take Palermo.
Which is still in Sicily. I mean, which is in Sicily.
Which is on the northeastern side of Sicily. We beat him into Palermo. Patton made up his mind. He was moving. He wasn't staying still. And I think that more or less got him in trouble right down the line.
Now,
besides his mouth.
I know you don't have any great love for General Montgomery.
No.
Why?
Well, this goes back...
The British general.
Yeah, that goes back to the Battle of the Bulge. When we came up from southern France, the 101st was completely encircled at Bastogne.
And we'll go into detail on that.
And, of course, General Gavin was already the division commander. He was a two-star general at the time at the Bulge. So you can picture how he had risen. From Sicily, he made brigadier general, to Normandy, where he made a division commander, a two-star general. Well, when we came up to outside of Bastogne, we opened a corridor 250 yards wide by 5 miles long. And we kept the corridor open, but back at the CP, I was on guard duty.
The CP is command post.
I was on guard duty at the command post that night when the general came in.
This is General?
Gavin.
Right.
And he was in there scouring the maps and seeing what he had to do to keep the corridor open, because no aerial supply, no ammunition coming in, foggy, snowing. The Germans were crisscrossing our lines.
Now, just so everyone understands, this is in Belgium, and this is much beyond Sicily.
This is December 44.
Right, and this is...
The Germans were crisscrossing our lines, and everybody was like panicking, because they knew our passwords, they knew everything. Until, of course, you had a lot of American Indians in our outfit. And so we gave them the communication network to operate, and they were talking in Seminole or Cherokee or Sioux or whatever language that they spoke. And that blunted the Germans from crisscrossing and learning anything else. But Montgomery said it was an untenable position, and he told Gavin to close the pocket and wipe out.
No, to leave the people there.
To leave the 101st there, that would get wiped out or taken prisoner.
And this was at, what's the town?
Bastogne, right outside of Bastogne.
And that's in Belgium?
In Belgium.
In Belgium.
Yeah.
Well,
north of the Black Forest.
So you just...
And
you felt
Gavin told him point blank, and I heard him say it. He said, I don't think I'm going to close the pocket. And Montgomery said, I'm giving you a direct order. And Gavin told him, he said, if these were British troops, would you close the pocket? And Montgomery stormed out, and Gavin said, let's keep supplying them as long as we can.
And you heard this with your own ears?
My own ears.
Now, it'd be interesting, because I know you have history, and I know you're very involved in history. What has been recorded of that conversation? I bet you were interested to see what the historians have said, or is there no, you know, some historian.
But Gavin never rose higher.
Yeah, and it is, isn't that interesting?
Montgomery was Eisenhower's pet. Ridgway became a 4-star general, commanded the 8th Army in Korea, was the Army Chief of Staff. Gavin was a West Pointer. You just don't take a West Pointer and shunt him.
And
that's the proof that
is.
Montgomery's talking to us. Because everything Montgomery came up, Eisenhower did.
Well, let's get back to the poor little fellow. Have you made corporal yet?
No,
War
No.
private, or
still a
PFC.
PFC. Uh,
So after the
we-
Sicily campaign,
we were moved, yeah, we were moved into the northern part of Sicily because Anzio had started.
which is a
They had
campaign in
invaded-
Italy.
Right, the campaign in Italy, and they were having problems. And they got ready to drop us in Naples. And that was the second jump. I'm just trying to think what month it was.
Our people were kind of pinned down on the beaches of Anzio for a
Anzio,
long time. It
but-
was very
yeah,
difficult for us.
The
Very
504th
difficult.
was in Anzio, and they were getting the hell shot out of them. Because they never really jumped into Anzio. We jumped into Naples, and
Well, let's go into that a little bit then, Don. Anzio is below Naples,
yeah,
right? And your thing was to kind of take the pressure off
take the
Anzio.
pressure off the pocket of the beach.
All right, so when you jumped you didn't jump in the outskirts of Naples, I
Yeah,
assume.
we jumped on the outskirts in Naples.
All right, that sounds like a very dangerous thing to do.
It
I mean,
was.
the Germans
We
were
su-
fighting
we suffered
very,
a lot of broken bones on that
and
jump.
also,
Yeah.
I got kind of the impression the Germans were almost desperate at this time to stop the
Well-
invasion, or,
They knew we were there. They were looking to get us off the beach. If they could have broken the beach pocket, that was it. It would have meant trying to start all over again someplace else. Then when we landed in Naples, this frustrated them. They didn't know which way to go. They didn't know where the next stop
would
was going to be.
what happened in Naples? Very fierce fighting, or did, what?
No, it was cutting the roads where they couldn't get supplies there. We cut the roads completely, and we got a presidential citation
Yeah, I
for
would think
that.
that would be, so the Germans obviously in time withdrew
that's
from
right.
the beach.
They were finished.
They were done. And
They were finished.
Did they go kind of directly north of Naples after that, or just a long drawn out
They
affair?
fought their way. You know, you had
With mountains?
Monte Cassino and
That was
all
still
of that.
coming.
Wow.
Yeah.
We weren't involved in that.
But there, I know.
Yeah, because I guess it was getting, this was near the end of 43, so they flew us. Certain part of us, cadre, would take a nap. We were flown back after they reached Naples, the American Army.
And you were withdrawn.
We were withdrawn, and we got ready. We went sent to England to get ready for
And
Normandy.
how did you fly to England?
I flew. I was part of the cadre.
And then I assume you went by from Italy to North Africa and then up. Is this?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
I would assume this was
Yeah.
the way. Now you're in England. Did you get a leave at all? Any kind of a little break to?
Oh yeah. Well, we were gonna, but we first had to set up where we were gonna be. At that point, I was already a corporal.
Oh, you made the big.
Yeah,
run.
I made the big one. I was already a corporal.
And you did get some leave.
Yeah, we got leave. We were stationed outside of Sherwood Forest, dropping with Grimes, in the village of Nottingham and Loughborough.
You really were?
That's right.
Is there a real forest there?
There's a forest
There's
there.
still a forest. All
There's a
right.
forest there. The town of Loughborough and Nottingham were like sister cities, maybe 3 miles apart, something like that. Real nice.
So did you get a little respite?
Yeah. Of course, we went to London and raised hell and got in trouble
But that's
like everybody else. And they took us back to camp, no leaves until everything is set up. And by then, parts of the division were starting to come in by boat.
getting ready for the
Getting
June 6th
right.
invasion of.
This was already January 44.
Getting ready for the June invasion.
Getting ready for Normandy.
While you were there in England, practice jumps and all that sort of
Yeah.
thing.
They had the ground laid out in Scotland exactly like the beach and the towns would be in France. They built things that were unreal.
Any German air raids at the time when you were there, or the Germans pretty much were?
The Germans were pretty, we had command of the air, but you had the V2